Hey guys, and welcome to BrickiesTV. It's lovely to have you here. Please subscribe to our channel. There's a little button right down the bottom here. If you subscribe, you'll be able to get first look at previews and exclusives coming up over the next few weeks. We've got lots of funny stuff, some great interviews and some great local music. Tonight I am interviewing Louisa Sadler from Lou's Connections. You've got a couple of great tracks to listen to and also a really entertaining interview. So enjoy, and here we go.
Hi, we're Lou's Connections. My name is Lou and his name is Martin. This next song is another original and it's called This Time. Okay. 1, 2. This time it won't hurt. This time I won't feel. This time, honey, playing for real, but I won't tell you lies, and I ain't no cheat. This time I'm playing for keeps. There's a small part of me that just wants to be lost, crazy for you and not counting the cost. Poor boys and new toys, they all charge the same. Sure as the hunter takes aim. This time it won't hurt. This time I won't feel. Perfectly balanced, undoubtedly real. You were first in the queue, last out my door, but that just won't cut it no more. There's a small part of me that just wants to be lost, crazy for you and not counting the cost. Poor boys and new toys, they all charge the same. Sure as the hunter takes aim. You asked me to leave, then begged me to stay, but I told you, honey, I won't live this way. But I won't tell you lies, and I ain't no cheat, 'cause this time I'm playing for keeps. This time it won't hurt. This time I won't feel. This time, honey, I'm playing for real, and I won't tell you lies, and I ain't no cheat, but this time I'm playing for keeps. This time I'm playing for keeps. Honey, this time I'm playing for keeps. Thank you so much.
Hello, Mrs.
How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. It's nice to see your smiling face.
And yours too. I'll just wait. There you are.
There I am.
Ooh, purple hair. Check you out.
I know, I got a bit creative. That's my lockdown look.
It's the lockdown look.
It is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What have you got behind you?
Oh, it's just a brick wall.
Are you really? Is it a real black brick wall?
No, it's
No.
not. It's totally CGI.
Oh.
It's because I don't want you to see the state of my room, Lou.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I'll give you a sneak preview. This is actually what it looks like behind me.
I'll keep my glasses on.
That's what
Oh,
it's a green screen, so it's
that's genius. So you could have had pterodactyls or anything.
yeah. So how has your lockdown been, Lou? I mean, it's a bit of a strange old time, isn't it?
It's the most peculiar thing. I finished. I used to work 2 doors up in a mental health women's facility. That closed must be 3 years ago now, 2 years ago at least. So then I got a job at the uni, and so I've been furloughed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not doing anything, which, I mean, the job is only term time anyway, so I'm off in the summer anyway. But what my job will look like, I don't know, because I sort resources out for people. I'm what they call a resource technician, which is not technical at all, but I hoof about the place with bits of kit for people. Sure. So if someone wants some, I don't know, whatever, if they're doing some pond dipping, one of the science departments, I work in education and we teach people to be teachers. So, if so I make stuff for people and handouts and, stuff for students. So my job has been peculiar, but yeah, I guess it is what it is. But actually, on the whole, we went skiing and the kind of lockdown followed us in from France, bizarrely.
Oh, really?
Literally, we went on the 7th to the 14th of March. Yes, we did 7th to the 14th of March. And on the way out, no masks, no nothing. Geneva was fine. On the way back, Geneva was like a madhouse because everybody was trying to come home. We got home and our daughter and her boyfriend drove out 2 days before we left, before we came back home again, and they literally had half a day on the slopes, and the police sent them home and said, you need to go home.
Oh, wow. So
he's been here ever since. So the lockdown, I've had extra children, so well, one extra. So I'm fairly fanatical. We're all fairly fanatical about it. We've been masks, gloves, 2 meters, all that, because it just seems. But I mean, I got into a ruck with a bloke on the bloody Facebook last night because I said something like, I don't make too many waves, I don't think anyway. And this guy, I said, it's all over in Wyndham. I was the only person wearing a mask kind of thing. And Dickie commented, my mate Dickie, said, oh, you better not come into Norwich then. So I said, oh, well, fair enough. And this guy said, yeah, but there's nothing to support the reason wearing masks, a waste of time anyway. Uh-huh. And I just went, sorry, what? And I said, you got to be kidding. If we were sitting in the same room and you were wearing a mask and I was wearing a mask, okay, I'm protecting myself, you from me, but you are equally protecting you from me.
Yep.
It's a no-brainer.
It is, isn't it? I don't get it.
No. And so I went, why are you arguing the toss about this? And he said, well, because there's nothing to support wearing masks is preventative. Yes, there is. So I just said, well, as you please. But wow. And I nearly said, well, go on, use a bus then, because you can't.
Yeah, really.
Sophie from the Mojos.
Yeah.
There's a picture of her on Facebook, and she said, thanks, bloody blah, because she met her mate at the bus stop, forgot she was going to wear a mask. They weren't going anywhere. So luckily her mate had a spare, otherwise she wouldn't have been going on the bus.
Yeah. Mind you, saying that, a bus went past the other day, and there must have been over 50% when I glanced through the window that weren't wearing a mask. What's that all about?
So can they not enforce it, presumably? The bus driver can only recommend, I suppose.
I'm guessing so, but you're supposed to be able to get fined for it, aren't you?
That's true, that you are. You're right, actually. You are supposed to be able to get fined for it. You're quite right.
Who does the fining? Because you can't expect a poor bus driver to turn around and write 20 quid, please, can you? Because that's going to cause a right ruckus on the bus.
Slightly. Yeah, slightly. I can't imagine. Yeah, slightly.
But as kind of under the same veins of the licensing authority or the government expecting us publicans to turn around and say, get back in your 1 metre square, please, and police that. Because that's kind of the same thing, isn't it? At the end of the day, they want us to enforce this, but who then deals with the aftermath?
Is that the deal? So explain that. Kurt wanted me to play a gig for him on the 4th at the White Hart in Swaffham. It's not going to happen now, but that's fine. However, there was a document. I only read to the bit that was pertinent to me. But so what does it say?
Yeah, so there's no guidance for music venues yet. It's only
Right.
for pubs. But you have to, as far as social distancing is concerned, you have to do everything in your power to maintain that people remain in their 1 meter or 1.5, whatever you decide that your social distance policy is. They have to stay in that 1 meter circle.
So like if I've got my arm out like that, nobody's allowed to come closer than that, essentially,
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah. And if somebody comes into your space and you're unhappy with it, then it's up to the publican to step in and ask that person to remove themselves from your 1 meter space. And if they don't, you're then causing a confrontation, aren't you?
Jesus.
And what do you then do? Are you then supposed to, this is my whole point, that, you know, and not just my point, a lot of licensees have been discussing this. I've been to a few meetings and we've said the same thing. What are the government actually expecting us to do here? Do you want us to step in? If somebody says, no, I'm not moving, do you then have the, you know, are they then expecting you to throw this person out? I mean, don't get me wrong, all my staff are SIA trained, so legally they're allowed to do that. But would I want to put them at risk? Because to do that, they've got to touch that person, get in their space and possibly breathe their air.
Do more than breathe their air, because there's every possibility that they're going to say, touch me and I'll spit at you.
Exactly. So you're
or
then,
whatever.
Yeah, you're putting your staff and other customers at risk in you. So where do you draw that line? So no, back to the bus driver. I wouldn't expect the bus driver to enforce it, but
No,
it's
I
funny.
can't.
It's funny. People's you know,
Perceptions of
Yeah,
and attitudes.
attitudes towards PPE and wearing masks and stuff. It's just it baffles me. It really
Does he not wear a condom, for example? Well, it's a barrier method.
It is.
Whether you like it or not, a mask is a barrier method.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely. So you've been busy musically wise, haven't you? Over lockdown, you've kept your hand in, so to speak. From what
Yes, we had. Well, Martin, the guy who sends the emails, generally speaking, who plays bass, he produces my music. So the way we've always worked since we've been working together, which I think is now 3 years. So if I come up with an idea, I essentially write a song, and I don't know any clever chords like you do. I only use simple chords. I use the D's and the G's, etc. Oh, dear, good girl. So anyway, I write a song. So then I record it, vocal and guitar, email it to myself, and then using earphones, I double track it. Then I send him both. So he's then got a dry vocal and he's got the chords, because he can tab it, he'll work it out. So that's how the process starts. And then he'll come up with an idea. Sometimes the songs sit there for a little while, and then he'll come up with an idea. He's just done a great reggae track for a song, actually. It's fantastic, so summery. So then he'll send it back to me. If I like it, then we'll go ahead with it. What we used to do is I'd go over there and we'd record the vocal, and he'd maybe leave the chords alone. Maybe he's come up with some fancy chords or whatever. And that's how we work together. So for the last two that came out on the lockdown album, which we put out on Bandcamp, they're done on phone vocals, which is amazing, because he sent them back to me and then I had to record them in one hit because I can't edit. So that's a bit kind of tense. Because, you know, I mean, I've had several attempts at doing them, or the ones that I did do, because they're, you know, I can't screw it up. I suppose I could get into having a bit of a home studio, but it's actually pointless because he's got himself a studio. He's got a studio at home, so he does that. He's quite a purist. You know, he's quite conscientious about, you know, vowel sounds and B's and P's and stuff like that, because he's been a recording or producer for 40 odd years, and that's how he works. So prior to lockdown, I would just go over and record the vocal, and then we'd, you know, either do it, you know, just if I get a verse wrong. I was inclined to work. I mean, you've obviously done lots of recording. I was inclined to write a song at one point called I'm going to write the second verse first. Because when you start singing, you always fuck up the first verse, don't you? You think, damn it! And so I'm singing away, and then he'll say, I wait, and he goes, come and have a listen. And I go, oh God, he hasn't decided whether he likes. So I go through it and then I listen. And he'll say, oh, I think there's a better line or better. And so then you can go and drop lines and what have you. We tend not to drop words in, but very occasionally if we need to. But I'll usually sing a line or phrase or something. So anyway, so we wanted to put something out on in lockdown. And so we've got the other albums, excuse me, on Spotify. So obviously that costs 30 quid a year to have an album up there. Bandcamp costs nothing. So that's quite good. And it's sold quite a few copies, which is really nice. So that generated just a little bit of income and just kept the band's name.
Yeah, that's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, more than anything, I think.
Bit of profile.
Yeah, because let's face it, it's all pennies, isn't it? Whatever comes in from recording, it's usually just pennies. But definitely,
yes,
profile, you can't put a price on that, I think.
No, absolutely. And I'm waiting for my 3p to come from PRS, because all the stuff, actually, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, all the stuff, we've had a few radio plays, and we had some radio plays a little while ago by a music station somewhere away anyway, but it was syndicated to Ireland and Canada, which was really nice, because actually when you look on Spotify, you can see where your stuff's being listened to. And that's incredibly cool, because I've now got 2 or 3 listeners in Canada. Well, I'm certain it's because the show that we were played on was syndicated in Canada. Otherwise, potentially, okay, they could have heard it. But so anyway, we wanted to put it out on Bandcamp because it hadn't cost us any, or hadn't cost any money to do it, and it just sort of, it was there. So
yeah,
it was nice to do, but it would be nice to get back to working properly again. Actually being able to go over and.
So weird, isn't it? It's like I had to do some recording here when Blind Tiger and all the bands got together and released that rock track for us.
Oh yes.
They sent it through to me and asked me to do some backing vocals, and I did it downstairs in B2 about 3 a.m. And I don't know about you, but you're never happy, are you?
No.
You just keep going and going and going. And by the end of my session, it's about 4:45 a.m. I thought, I really need to stop now and get some sleep. And when I looked at it, there was, I think there was about 18 vocal tracks. And I sent them all through to him, and it was like, he sent me a message the next day. He's like, are you crazy?
What were you thinking?
First of all, it's like 5 a.m. and secondly, there's 18 vocal tracks. Whatever you're doing, I just want some oohs and ahs. It's like, once I start, I can't stop.
It's funny because it really focuses you as well. I mean, the nice thing for me is they're my songs. So not so much now, but I'm always nervous to send stuff to him, because one day he's going to say, I don't like it, or I think he will. And I guess he will at some point. But so I'm always nervous to send something off, especially because I know he'll listen to just my voice. And that's like, oh, Jesus. So that's scary. But he's always very gentle. But for me, I know, especially a while ago when I didn't let him have stuff, early, I know the song so well that when I come to actually record it, I'm so, I own it.
Yeah.
When it's newer, like, Runaway, which is one of the tracks on the, which is an unusual track for me. It's sort of dancey, kind of beaty movie, kind of not country. And I sent it off to him, and he said, I really like it. I think this is what it'll suit. And he just, did what he did. And I, but I didn't know it that well. So luckily, as I say, I recorded it on the phone. So it was a phone vocal from here. So I got it how I wanted. But I think I maybe sent in the 6th one. So it wasn't so bad, not 18. Yeah, 18's a bit. I'm going to tell him.
No, but they weren't 18 of the same track, Lou. They were 18 different harmonies for the same vocal line.
Oh,
so
God.
Some of them were double tracked. There were 5-part harmonies. Some of them were double tracked, and they were oohs and ahs. And then I didn't know whether I needed to ooh and ah. So I think I might have done a different vowel sound, and then I did it in an octave. And then, I couldn't really decide. And the thing is, when you're in a studio with your bandmates and with your producer, you've got some input, and it can say, don't be so stupid. Stop singing that bloody
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you're on your own, you're just a runaway train. And I just It was ridiculous. It was like, don't
5-part vocal harmony is impressive. Then I like some of that close to harmony singing.
Yeah, I love a bit of harmony. I can't sing a melody very easily. Give me a harmony and I'll go forever. But I can't.
Seriously?
Yeah, I really struggle singing a melody.
I'm much better than I was. And again, when I first write a song, I'll record it to my phone, and nearly always I play it to myself in the car a few times, and I might have an idea of a change for a lyric or a cleverer way of saying something, or I'll have a so the chorus, and then by the time he hears it, I've already thought of a harmony line for the chorus, for example. I mean, I don't tell him that, but for me, I've listened to it probably, as I say, not so much now, but certainly previously, I've probably listened to a song that I've written maybe 30 times before he gets it.
Yeah.
So, and obviously in the writing process, because, you know, I'm going back and back and back. I mean, I don't know how you write, but I usually get an idea and a couple of lines and the melody all at once, and then I think, oh, okay, I can do that. No, the creative process, as you know, is an odd thing.
It is. And it's weird what you write songs about, isn't it? Because it's not always the obvious stuff. Like, you know, heartbreak and all the cliches and all that.
My office is 4 floors up. There are toilets on our floor, but if you run down 4 flights of stairs, it does you a lot more good running 4 back up again. So everybody in my office, or in my office and everybody else's offices, people, most of us groupies tend to fluke downstairs. And this track, Runaway, I was running down and I got to the third step or third flight down, and in my head I'd got this, never mind, it's my mistake. You should know my heart won't break. Maybe you and I got to the loo and I went, yeah, that's a song. That's right there as a song. And it was. Well, how weird is that? Came out my office and had this little thing, and
That's
I trotted
amazing.
downstairs.
Totally cool.
And it doesn't mean anything, you know.
Yeah, no, but some of the best ones just don't. They just don't. Really,
absolutely agree with you. That one probably, I mean, I cycle to work usually, and it's 10 miles or 9.7 miles. And by the time I'd got home, I just came straight up and wrote down what I'd got. And it was, and so actual fact, there's a few lines in a few songs that I've been out on my bike and actually stopped and recorded a line because I wrote something and I needed, it was called Little Black Dress, and I needed a line. I needed to know what she did with the little black dress because he never saw her in it, essentially.
Okay.
And so for old time's sake, she gets the little dress out and she tries it on, and I don't tell you whether it fits. But then I thought to myself, what's she going to do with it? And I couldn't think. And I was coming across the little mountain road, and I stopped and I realized what I was going to say. And she put it in a Goodwill box. Well, okay, it's an Americanism.
Yeah.
But I wanted to think, well, what did she do with it? She didn't throw it out because it meant too much, but she gave it to charity for someone else to have their night in. You know, it's a little black dress. So it was for someone else to have their moment in the sun in it. And I thought, yeah, that's what she's going to do. She's going to give it to Goodwill. Yeah. So I stopped and wrote that on the phone. And now, even now, when I drive past there, I think, yeah, that's where that line.
That was the moment. Brilliant. So the 2 songs that I'm going to play, Louisa. So we've got This Time.
Yes.
And Traveling Man.
Yes.
So what are the stories behind these?
This Time, I don't really know. It's a fairly old song. I've had it a little while. I think that was just an idea that just didn't come from anything particular. The idea that this time it won't hurt, because this time you won't feel, but in fact, of course, it does every time. I mean, sometimes I write stuff and people say, well, they don't say, but Steve says, wherever do people think you live? But of course, when I worked in mental health, a lot of stuff came from where people were at when I was working with them. Yeah. So it's, because when you support somebody, you go on a journey with them, or at least was always my way of working, sort of holistically. And you can't help, you don't take it home with you, but you can't help but feel some of what's happening for them. So so some stuff got written, and that probably was one of those things, because I unfortunately, as women, we do tend to just fall again and again and again. I mean, I guess guys do it as well, I suppose. But I suppose it was the idea that each time it won't end badly, but unfortunately sometimes it does.
Yeah.
And Travelling Man was, I saw a busker, exactly that.
Okay.
And again, about the idea of not judging. It's really easy when you see someone on the television with no teeth, and they're talking about, I don't know, being homeless or something. And if you know a little, it's really easy to jump to conclusions and think, well, maybe they've been a drug addict, that's why they've got no teeth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when in fact, it could be that they've never had a good enough job, so they've never been able to afford to go to the dentist. Because you go to the dentist and it costs you 25 quid. Well, if you've got 25 quid, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you don't, and feeding your kids is the priority, then you're not going to go to the dentist.
Absolutely.
So I just saw this guy busking, and I just thought about the fact that, and as I say, we worked with women from every walk of life, you know, from doctors to physiotherapists, right to working girls, and everything in between. So people just quietly losing the plot to people who'd had really quite difficult lives. And the idea that I have no right to judge what has led him to that point. And I just thought it was worth saying.
Your stuff is phenomenal. Talk about keep that hidden. You know, I've known you for quite a few years now, Lou. And
oh, we have, yeah.
Yeah. And you always used to say, oh, I'd like to pick up a guitar and have a little dabble, but you really did keep that bloody hidden. And I'll never forgive you for it, because when I first heard you, my chin hit the floor.
Oh, thank you.
It's not fair that you kept that hidden from me all that time.
Well, the funny thing is, when you used to have, or when we used to come to the pub more regularly, we just kind of got out of the habit of going to pubs for a long time. But when we were coming sort of semi-regularly, that charity thing, I mean, I'm a gobby tart at most of the time. I would never have dared ask you to do it, because I just thought I'm just not good enough. And actually, Martin gets really cross because I am so nervous about what I put out there and whether a song is good enough. I really am really nervous about it. He gets really cross because he said that they are good, intelligent songs, and if you're trying to say something, that's fine, even better. And I think that has been a bit of a shock, that somebody who has made he gets a proper check from PRS every 3 times a year, because he's got 1,600 pieces of published music, something like that, out there. Yeah. He's written songs. Well, he was on, what was the Wham's first hit? I think he was playing bass on Wham's very first bass on their very first hit. Yeah. Because he was a session musician. He never worked with them again, he said, I might add. But yeah, he's got various claims to fame. No, he said George Michael was incredibly shy.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether you ever get over the self-criticism. I don't think, I not for me anyway.
No, I think a lot of people are like that. And it's okay to criticize yourself, but you have to have faith in those that are telling you that.
I struggle with that.
Yeah.
I struggle with that, and I'm not being self-deprecating. I am nervous. There is no doubt about it. And Martin will tell you when we're gigging, I'm better now than I was, but I'm really nervous.
I need to get you on our stage. We need to sort that out, really, because your stuff's amazing. I love your voice. I want you on our stage. So the minute we're going to sort this out. And that would be lovely. All right, my darling, I'll let you go. Look, it must be nearly tea time.
I think we're having a barbecue, so I've already put some rub on the ribs, and we've got a gas barbecue, so we're going to fire it up. Better go make some burgers. Lovely. All right. Thanks,
All right,
Charlie. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Yeah. Love you too.
Thank you. So it's still us. I'm still Lou. He's still Martin. We're going to do another song now, another original. This is about the guy who you see in the park on a Wednesday with a motorcycle. You can take. Can you tell we're doing this outside? So we have hello.
And Emerson Fittipaldi roars past me.
That's fine. Okay, well you can tell it's live anyway. So we'll just let the motorcycle go past, but that's fine. We're assuming that Charlie's going to edit this out, but knowing her, she probably won't. Anyway, I wrote this song because, yeah, we don't know why this guy's in the park, but he's got a guitar. And so I decided to write this song, and it's called Traveling Man. Thanks very much. Wanna tell you a story of a don't-count traveling man with a heavy heart and a guitar in its bag. Saw him in the park the other side of town, underneath the trees in the corner by the popcorn stand. I could not clearly see his face, but I recognized each line. I knew the scars upon his soul, and I knew he sang to keep him whole. Took out his guitar and he placed it upon his knee. Started out the song, he was playing it just for me. Didn't know the tune, but I knew the words. Singing his life in the park, pretty as a bird. I could not clearly see his face, but I recognized each line. I knew the scars upon his soul. I knew he sang to keep him whole. Music stopped and he raised up his head and smiled. Blue eyes gazed with the hopes of a restless child. Didn't need to speak, he didn't need to say. We both needed love and the promise of a better day. I could not clearly see his face, but I recognized each line. I knew the scars upon his soul. I knew he sang to keep him whole. 'Cause I could not clearly see his face, but I recognized each line. I knew the scars upon his soul. I knew he sang to keep him whole. I knew he sang to keep him whole. I knew he sang to keep him whole. Thank you. And thank you, Charlie. We've had a good time, haven't we?